little bit about this project, and then I'll introduce to you Charlie. And after that, you'll have an opportunity to look at some of their items, have some cake, and just enjoy yourself. So, this program, in order to explain it, I've got to take you back to 2014. In 2014, I was on a teleconference with some other VSA affiliates. If you don't know what VSA is, it is an international organization that's run through the Kennedy Center that was founded by Jean Kennedy Smith. She is one of the sisters of former President John F. Kennedy. And her sister, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, started Special Olympics, and her son, Eunice's son, started Best Buddies. And that's how all three of those are interconnected. So anyway, we were on a teleconference because VSA was about to become 40 years old. And I forgot the cardinal rule that you should never do when you're in a meeting, and that is to come up with an idea. Because then you get in charge of that. So what happened from there is Tennessee got put in charge of coordinating at a global festival. And it was 40 different international art and education exchanges that involved 37 states and 60 countries. It was 40 days, and it was a 40-day digital festival that also ended up, there was a quilt that was created from this. And I've got a picture of the quilt down there if you want to see it later on. This quilt contained quilt squares that were sent from all of the VSA affiliates from all over the country and all over the world. And it was put together here in Tennessee. That quilt then went to the U.S. State Department, and it hung there for almost 2 months. It was then taken to the U.S. Capitol, where it was presented to Jean Kennedy Smith, and it is now part of the Art and Embassy program of the U.S. State Department, and it is traveling around the world to all of the U.S. embassies forever. So you may wonder, how does that have anything to do with why we are here today? Well, it does. It has two very important reasons why we're here today. The first one is when that was over with, one of our participants came to me and said, we'd like to do more programs like that where individuals with disabilities are doing things where we're giving back to the community. Because they said, we are people just like everyone else. We have abilities and talents just like everyone else. And we want to contribute to the community just like everyone else. And so that's where we were trying to come up with an idea of what kind of project can we do where all of that takes place. And that's where the genesis of this idea came from, was where individuals would be taught specific skills that they could then take and create a product. And when those products were sold, part of it would go back, the sale of that product would go back to the individuals who created it, but part of the sale of that product would go to support a community-based program, therefore giving back to the community again. And with that idea, we then went to the Tennessee Arts Commission, and they very kindly funded the pilot project of this, which is what you're seeing today. Now, one of our artists was very clear at the beginning and said, what we do not want is we do not want an art sweatshop where people are coming in, everybody has to make the same thing, hand over hand, and you've got to be in the workshop. We don't want that. So what we decided, which makes this program a little bit different, is individuals come in, they learn a skill, then they take some art supplies back with them, then they bring product back, and that lets us know whether they can actually create the product and if they're interested in being part of the project. After the pilot program ran, this is the end of that, we found 10 individuals who attended workshops, who brought product back, and who have agreed to be part of this program and have agreed to the conditions of the agreement of this program, which they will be signing here shortly. So that is where all of that is. So that is one part of it. The second part of where that program, that was 2014 that led into the 2015 program, is influencing today is the name. When we were doing the quilt project at the U.S. State Department, I met Charlie Kellett, and he said, this is going to be part of Teapot Diplomacy. I said, what is Teapot diplomacy. So he explained it to me, which I'm not going to, that's his thing to do. So he talked about that and took a picture and included us in that, and I thought that was the most cool concept. I really love that concept, and I love the name. And I felt like our project was going and using a lot of the same ideas he had, so I contacted Charlie and I said, can we steal the name for our program and call ourselves Teapot Diplomats? And he said, absolutely, you can use that name. And so you'll notice that all of the product that is made in this project does have a T connection. And it's because of the name. So without further ado, I am going to introduce to you Mr. Charlie Kellett to talk about Teapot Diplomacy.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. And I'm close to tears, but the influence that one person can have on someone else. I'd written a whole speech, but I think I'm just going to talk from the heart because that's usually what I do best. Quick show of hands, who here has ever shared tea with somebody? Yeah, okay. The whole idea of teapot diplomacy is really, it's a journey. It's a journey of hope, big dreams, and respect. And it started in 1994 when I worked as a Peace Corps volunteer in Morocco, North Africa. And every day, it was a small village, no electricity, no running water, no stores, just farmers. And every day people would say, Charlie, come inside, and they'd offer me tea. And I'd sit down and drink tea with them. And after 6 months, I got tired of always receiving because nobody wants to just be a guest. You want to be part of a community. And so I asked them, you know, can I give to you? Like, no, you're our guest. And so I realized that, well, I'm going to start just trying to reciprocate that generosity. And so I carried a teapot with me. And when someone invited me in, I'd pull out my teapot and offer to make them tea as a way of showing respect and giving back. Of course, the host will never be the guest, but they appreciate that gesture. So since 1994, I've traveled around the world carrying this teapot. And that's kind of the idea of where teapot diplomacy came from. But the more I did this, the more I realized it's integral in our American values and our history. Who remembers, before we were a country, what happened in Boston? Anybody? Boston Tea Party. Maybe remember why there was a Boston Tea Party?
No.
What is it?
No.
Oh, you know? So, back when we were just 13 colonies, not a country, the British government controlled us, and they taxed us. And they taxed the tea that they brought to our country. And so we were paying taxes, but we had no representation in how we were governed. And that's not right. If you're part of a community, you need to have a voice in your community. Everybody. There's no separation. We're all one community. And so the colonists said, we're tired of this. So the long story short is they dressed up in Native American attire, they boarded the ships, they threw in 340 cases of tea into Boston Harbor, turning it into a huge teapot. And they said no taxation without representation, and that led to the start of our independence, which then, as we know, coming up July 4th, we get to celebrate that.
That's actually nice, isn't it?
It is, and it all goes back to tea. So at our roots, our founding fathers shared this connection with tea.
Cool.
And that also speaks to me because does anybody know even know who Paul Revere was?
Yes.
Do you remember the expression, one if by land, two if by sea? Does that sound familiar? Okay, another little history lesson. Before the start of the revolution, or our fight for independence, we had a secret plan because the British wanted to come and take away our munitions, our guns, our weapons, our ammunition and supplies. And so back then there was no Twitter or text messaging on your phone, so to send a signal, the highest place in Boston was a steeple of a church. It's called the Old North Church. And they would hang, the plan was, would hang one lantern if the British troops come on land, 2 lanterns if they come by sea or over the water by boat. So 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. And that then, the signal went out, Paul Revere and other riders went out to spread the message to the other neighboring towns to protect our weapons and munitions. So long story short, that steeple is dedicated to my grandfather, who was the minister of the Old North Church. He wasn't alive during the Revolutionary War, but so anybody who goes to Boston, I encourage you to please go pay your respects, climb that steeple where they hung the lanterns, because that's sort of the influence for me. That's what moved me to want to leave my home, to go overseas. And the first time I went overseas was as a teenager. I left my home, a small town, 21,000 people, and went to West Germany. That was back when it was still East and West. And I remember as a young, idealistic American teenager going to the Berlin Wall and standing there with my hands on that cold cement and just wondering, how can countries build walls to divide communities and families? Why not build bridges to connect people, bring us together? And I didn't understand that. And to this day, I don't understand that, because it's not part of how I grew up. And so early on, I decided I want to be an agent of change. I want to bring people together, because I got that from my grandfather. I got that from history and the founding fathers of being one community. And on this journey, then I went to Morocco, and then I was just overwhelmed by the generosity of the Moroccans and how much tea I drank. And so then I started to carry the teapot, and I realized everywhere I travel, we, as a world, as a global community, one, share respect for tea. Everybody can recognize the teapot, although some people want to rub it and see if a genie comes out. That's an oil lamp, but it's okay, they're similar in shape. And so it's just, I never, in my biggest dreams, imagined that a single pewter teapot that's about 100 years old would have this much of a connecting influence. And one of the reasons why I'm here is I'm a big dreamer, and Lori's a big dreamer. And the 10 artists who are getting inducted today as Teapot Diplomats are big dreamers. And we need to dream big. We need to believe in what we can do and to create the world that we want. And I've been working at State Department since 2004, doing exchanges. And what I find is the most important thing we can do in day-to-day life is come the last 3 feet. When you come this close to somebody, you can look them in the eyes, you can engage in dialogue, share stories, listen to one another, learn from one another, and try to understand. And when we do that, we reach a level of understanding that leads to respect. And the world needs more respect. So since 1994, this teapot This teapot has traveled the world, and I'm often asked, do you still make tea out of it? And I say no, because the history now, the fingerprints on here, ranging from musicians like Jimmy Buffett to journalists like Anderson Cooper and Chris Matthews and Harriet Fulbright, Tim Shriver, the head of Special Olympics, John F. Kennedy's advisor on civil rights, Senator Harris Wofford. I mean, they've all held this teapot, as have hundreds, if not thousands, of people around the world. And you don't see the fingerprints on here, but they're there. And to me, I don't ever want to clean it because of the stories that this carries. And so I would be honored for anybody here who wants to be a teapot diplomat to take your picture with the teapot. But more importantly, I am just thrilled personally that there are 10 very talented artists, and I'm really blown away looking at your works up here. I get chills when I think about the creativity you put into your work, and it's coming from an idea. It's coming from connecting those ideas. When Lori and I connected and got that quilt displayed at State Department, got it into our Art in the Embassies program. And I guess just to kind of wrap up, I could talk all day, is just to say, you know, each of you has a story. We all have a way to connect. I would encourage you to find that story if you don't know what it is yet. I encourage you to open your doors to the world, to international exchange students, to travelers and backpackers. Let people come into your home. Let them sit down at your table and make a pot of tea. Share a cup of tea, come the last 3 feet, look them in the face, share stories, get to know one another. We're going to have respect. And with respect, you've got stability and peaceful communities that can work together. And we build more bridges, fewer walls. I guess I should also mention why I'm interested in disability rights and full and equal inclusion. I've met so many amazing individuals who haven't had the same opportunities as others. And I've had the real privilege to work with some of the world's greatest leaders like Judy Heumann, who really helped start the disability rights movement. And Ann Cody, who's my teammate at State Department, who's a 3-time Paralympic wheelchair racer. And I myself don't have a disability, but as any member of a community, you need both people who share something in common, members of the deaf community, blind, persons on the autism spectrum, whatever your disability might be, but you also need allies. And so when I look at this audience right now, I see, you know, we're all one. There's no separation here. Unfortunately, in the world, there's still a lot of separation where persons with disabilities are segregated in schools, still forced to live in institutions, not even have the basic dignity of human rights. And so every day I get up, I go to work, fired up. I want to be that agent of change to work with you, my State Department colleagues, anybody and everybody in the world to make sure that anybody, regardless of your born disability, you acquire it, you're supporting someone who has a disability, we have to work together to make sure that there are no barriers dividing us. We need communities that are fully integrated and inclusive. And art is a great way of showing your views, sharing your talents, and that brings everybody back in the community. And I'm definitely going to bring some of these things home. I want to support you. I want to share your stories when I get back to Washington. And I hope that that will inspire others to use art as a way of expressing individuals and building out communities. So with that, I brought one of these for each of the artists. This is just a little book about teapot diplomacy. But I'm showing this to you now because I've got a question for you. Does anybody know when we gained our independence, does anyone remember who was the first country to recognize us as a sovereign nation?
Morocco.
Yes! Yes! You get a book too.
It's on a stamp. They have a stamp with it on there.
Yeah, well, you won't find this very often today, but if you've got one, hold on to that. But I'm sorry it's such a small book, it's not the only ones I have, but you see the US flag and the Moroccan flag, which is red with a green star. And I think it's important too, as we're celebrating, as the world celebrates the holy month of Ramadan, to recognize that the first country to recognize us as a sovereign, independent nation was the majority Muslim country of Morocco. And our longest running treaty to this day is with the Kingdom of Morocco. So, as a Christian with proud roots to our heritage and connections to the steeple in the Old North Church in Boston, and the connections to the country that helped shape my life and now help shape some of yours by bringing you into this teapot diplomacy movement. I will need to update this book and maybe get a picture, I've got a picture here of Lori and the quilt at the State Department. But maybe we can get a picture of the Teapot Diplomats, the world's first group of Teapot diplomatic artists. So with that, I thank you all.
Charlie, I have a couple of things for you. The first is...
Oh, wow.
Was made by some of our kids. It hung on the governor's Christmas tree. We made ornaments for the governor's Christmas tree one year. So that's in the center. There's that. And you know where we are right now.
Good luck tomorrow.
And this was created in one of our programs too by one of our artists with a ball cast. So it's always such fun.
Thank you.
So I have just a couple of things before we induct our diplomats. The first is on each of your chairs, just a second, you have one of these. And at the end of the program today, if you would please look at all of the items and circle the ones that you think we should continue to keep. You can circle them all. You can circle just one. I don't care, but please put them in the basket, and that way we know what things we should continue to do. This program has been given funding for the next 3 years by Nick and Mark Antonini, Nikki and Mark Antonini, so we're very appreciative of that. So this program will be continuing with that as well. Then one other thing to tell you is that this program is going a little further. On Monday, we are going to be at a diversity training, thanks to Barbara Gumlardy and also to Sharon Kay. We will be having some of our Teapot diplomats along with some of the Cubs. It is a diversity training program for police cadets. And as far as we know, it's the first of its kind in the country. And there will be about 100 cadets there. So none of the cups are for sale because they are going to the police cadets. But all of these other things are for sale. And then I was just told by Allison that we are also going to be at the Tennessee Department of Education's High Conference next year. So I'm very excited. So Teapot diplomats are already on the move. So thank you. When I call a diplomat's name up, if you would please come up, I'm going to have you sign 2 contracts, 2 agreements. One I will keep and one I'll be giving back to you. After you sign the agreement, you're going to get a plaque, and then we're going to get a picture of you and Charlie and the teapot. If the person that is our teapot diplomat needs an assistant to come up with them, to assist in any way or to help sign, that's fine as well. So our first person is Adam Boyd. So Adam, come on up. Thank you very much. The next is Bethany Dillon. till we made the art. Let's set it here, so they've had a bit of a morning. Come on, Colin. Come on up. So Alyssa, go ahead and take your plaque, but we'll get you a new one. It has an extra L on it. Congratulations. Next is Wanda, the birthday girl.
Oh, look, it's now inside.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Let's get off the video. Next is and last but not least, Morgan Rice.
Oh, man, what a beautiful pin on your hat.
Very good. There you go. Thank you very much. And I think we also had some tea that has been specially blended just for this program. It's called Teapot Diplomacy tea, and I believe we have some available as well. So if you want to try that, you can, but there's also water. And you are welcome to now have some cake and purchase items. Thank you very much for coming. Yes, all Teapot Diplomats, if you would all go up and get a one. Do you want the flags?